Welcome everyone, thanks for checking out another InfoSec Hub video. Do you ever wonder how passwords are being cracked and how hackers or other kind of people that have malicious backgrounds crack your account and hack you basically because your password is being cracked? Well, here on the left side you see how passwords are being cracked, and on the right side is how to improve your system security. This is very important, especially during this pandemic. A lot of people work from home, and password policies at home are very lax usually, and in the workplace they could be more strict. So, to begin with the first one, interception of passwords. Passwords will be sent over the network, over the internet, as soon as you type in your username and your password and you hit enter, that information is being transferred over the network. And of course, that data can be intercepted. So there might be a man in the middle between your browser and the web server, basically, and that can look at your password. Even if it's encrypted, he can decrypt it if he has the right set of tools. So while you submit your password during transit, it can be intercepted. Of course, it's also possible that somebody from the inside scans the IT architecture, the NAS or the SAN storage attachment network for maybe you stored your password in a notepad in plain text. You can look for the name of services, maybe you even call it passwords.txt, who knows. Manual guessing. If I know something about you, for instance, I know the name of your daughter, the name of your dog, the name of your wife, and not in that order. And I know the time that you either married, you had your first child, or you met each other. So that's usually a year or maybe even a month. I can guess, right? I can come up with combinations that for average people think it's a secure password, but just guessing one or two or three things and combining those, I can guess your password. And guess what? This very often leads to a successful login because people don't complicate their passwords with special signs or spaces or capital letters and small letters and stuff like that. Then social engineering. And social engineering is a term that relates to social interaction between people. So you might be working one day and you get a telephone call from the IT department and they say, listen, there's something wrong with your account, but I don't know your password. I need to log in to see what's really wrong with your account. And you think, I know this person. This is the IT department. It's from the same company. What could possibly go wrong, right? Because there's always an urgency. There's always something they need to check, or you're in danger, or whatever the case. There's always urgency. With that urgency, you are much more likely to hand over your password and boom, they're in. So this is the social engineering aspect. It has to do with people, interaction with other people, has basically nothing to do with IT, hardcore IT. Then we have the brute force. So this is basically trying to log into your account 5,000 times a second based on dictionaries. So I say 5,000 times in a second could be. So they try so many times until they got lucky, basically. Brute force. They use dictionaries, which I said earlier, of the most commonly used passwords. And these dictionaries are basically created also based on hacks. Because we know, let's say, for instance, welcome01 is a very common password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a very common password. And they will all be stored in those kind of libraries. And they just fire away at an account. Also, stealing passwords. If you don't have passwords in your head, you don't have a keychain or something like that, you can write them down, of course, in a book, and then I can just physically steal that book, and bam, I'm in. I know your email address, I know your password now. Boom, I'm in. Especially if there's no two-factor authentication involved, I'm in your account and I can do whatever I want. Then we have shoulder surfing. So somebody is really lurking over your shoulder, looking at what you type on to your keyboard, and with that they have your password basically. So this could be a colleague or somebody that's standing in the area that you barely notice, but he has his eye on your keyboard, and that way he knows your password. Very basic but pretty effective. Then we have key logging, and key logging really refers to there's a program on your computer, doesn't matter what operating system, but it logs your keys, and that way he can see you basically type in the password, because at the end of the day he will get the log file and he starts looking for things that look like passwords, because you'll be typing emails the whole day, and from time to time you type in your password, and that has nothing to do with a real word or sentence if you do it correctly, and then bam, you have your password. Especially when you first type in the URL of a website that you try to log into, and then a little bit later you type in your password. So, use a keychain, because then you're not really typing in anything, but you just store it temporarily somewhere in a temp file, and then you copy paste it to your website, and that doesn't get registered basically as you typing on the keyboard. Okay, so those are the ways how passwords can be cracked. So, and how to improve your security. That's very, very important actually. A lot of these things are technical, but I will just go over them. Let's say, for instance, you're an application manager, or within a company that you have certain passwords. You can make sure that for the most easy passwords, you just don't allow it. You have a blacklist of most common password choices, and you just deny those kind of passwords are even possible for you to use. That way you will have no weak passwords, so just make a blacklist. You can also monitor the failed login attempts. So if you have an account and you set a rule that you enter your password 3 times or 4 times, and after the 5th time of entering a password that's incorrect, you will be locked out. You will not be able to use your account no more. Plus, it's being logged where the login attempt came from, IP address, browser fingerprint. So try to kind of locate where it's from, if it's a device that's known in the organization or it's unknown. Prioritize administrator and remote user accounts. These are kind of the accounts with more privileges, especially the administrator account is basically an administrator, system administrator or application manager type roles, and remote users, you always leave the back door of your fortress open for these kind of users. So they also need to have strong passwords enforced, and especially with two-factor authentication, adding another layer of security, making it more secure. Here, don't store passwords in plain text format. Sometimes a database gets hacked and the passwords are in the database and they're just in plain text. They're not encrypted, which is an extra layer of security. So it's in plain text and you see the name of the user and you see the password, and bam, you're in. Then we have other few things: help user cope with password overload. Only use passwords where they're really needed. So password overload, before you know it, you have 30 websites or services that you need passwords for, and the best practice is to all use unique passwords. So make sure that you only use a password where it's really needed. Use technical solutions like a single sign-on. You only need to remember one password, and after you are granted access to the network and all the underlying applications, then you don't have the need to fill in your passwords on every separate application or website. So that really relieves the burden on the user. Allow users to securely record and store their passwords, keychains, or stuff like that, and then encrypt the database where it's stored in. But that's all administrator stuff. Users shouldn't bother with this. Help to generate appropriate passwords, put technical defenses in place so that simple passwords can't be used. Steer away from the predictable passwords. Ban the most common. Encourage users to never reuse passwords. So if you use a password in the past, in the next year you can't use it no more. That's a great effective way. Train staff to help avoid creating passwords that are easy to guess. Avoid this. Again, a keychain, LastPass, KeePass. There are many free tools out there that can help you with this. And the great thing is you basically only need to remember one password, make that one a little bit complex. You can even write it down somewhere, but hide it good. And with that one, you unlock the database where all the passwords are stored in. And also another advantage of the KeePass is that you can generate unique passwords for every website, for every service. This is great because if one website got compromised and your password leaks, then it only leaks for that service and not for all the other websites because you use the same password everywhere. This is a big cause of a lot of data leaks out there because people use the same passwords everywhere, at work and home. So when you know there's a data breach in your personal situation, maybe there's also a data breach in your work environment, and that one has way bigger consequences actually. So this is basically what I want to tell you about password security in this situation. This sheet really speaks for itself. I wanted to share it anyway. If you have any questions, feel free to just ask me any question you want about passwords, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope to see you guys in the next one.